Hello, my name is the Diamond Kitty Gaming and more, and before I start this video, I'd like to ask you all a question. Would you put half the world at stake for the defense of your country? Let that question sink in. In the defense of your own country, would you put half the world's at stake as well? That is what Finland and Sweden are doing right now. Now, I understand wanting to defend your country, especially against Russia, who is obviously incredibly aggressive, and their reasons for the invasion of Ukraine are obviously absolutely stupid and just. But here's the point: one of their reasons for invading Ukraine was to stop other neighbors from attempting to join NATO. Finland and Sweden pretty much just decided that they wanted to join NATO in spite of that. Now, as much as it sounds like a great way to 1-2 punch Russia and say, no, we're not going to... It's not. Russia has admitted they use nuclear weapons if Finland and Sweden would join NATO, and judging by the fact that not only is Putin probably mentally ill at this point, as well as possibly physically, and probably incredibly angry that they're losing in Ukraine right now, I wouldn't put it past them to. And here's the thing: if they attack a country that has joined NATO, then half the world gets called into it, because half the world is part of NATO too. That basically means that if Finland and Sweden join NATO, and Russia retaliates against them and attacks them because of this, that means that the United States and multiple other Western countries would be called into a war immediately, full-blown and full-scale, with Russia. Russia has admitted they'd use nuclear weapons on Finland and Sweden if they did this. Finland and Sweden are currently putting half the world at risk for their own country's defenses, and I dare say that's pretty selfish. I think they could probably fend for... Look, Ukraine got as many supplies as they needed from everyone else, and they managed to kick Russia's butt just off that. Just off the fact that they had supplies from other countries. Finland has historically... Finland has historically been able to attack Russian troops, or at that point Soviet troops, and take much less casualties than the attackers did, as you see here with the casualties and losses with the Winter War from 1939 from 1939 to 1940. I believe Finland could definitely pull that off again, especially with support from anyone else, and I don't think they need to join NATO to do that. Joining NATO would make Russia incredibly angry, and although as much as anyone want to stand up to Russia's aggressiveness, I wouldn't want to put half the world at risk just to do so. Do not join NATO. Do not. Frick, my microphone. Finland and Sweden's request to join NATO must be declined. They have to be declined for just the rest of the world's safety. If Russia had no real intention to invade Finland or Sweden. They invaded Ukraine to coerce Finland and Sweden out of joining NATO. Of course, this backfires. They would have not really attacked Finland or Sweden at all until it came to the point where Finland and Sweden joined NATO. And I want to state this again, if their request is accepted, and out of retaliation, Russia does invade Finland and use nuclear weapons, half the world by treaty is called into a full-blown war with Russia. It's not just Lend-Leases anymore. It would be a full-blown war, and that could be incredibly horrible for everywhere, and I do mean everywhere. I mean, okay, I might be exaggerating when I say half the world, but come on. You really want to doom half of North America and pretty much all of Europe? Because that could very well escalate into a war with all of Europe and half of North America, and that is not... that judging by Russia's very aggressive status that would attack anything just based off fake things, if there was actually a real thing that I don't know what I can say, but it's not good. Finland and Sweden cannot join NATO, or else Russia will be probably liable to attack them. And if Finland and Sweden are in NATO while Russia attacks them, then Europe and North America are also called into a war with Russia. And Russia right now is so volatile that it might be very, very, very bad. Very, very, very bad. And so they can't join NATO. I don't know if I can change anything, but they really should not be allowed to join NATO at this time. After this war, they should be allowed to join NATO as they please, but they can't. But right now, Russia is in a state of incredible aggressiveness and incredible volatility, and that could lead with a North American and European war against Russia, and that will not work out well for anyone involved. So that's not a good thing to do. All right, I think that's all I wanted to say. I'll see you in the next one, I guess.